The way the company runs should be told to each and every staff, and it should be transparent in what are the causes of poor industrial relations. We had only one kind of a system where employer, employee and the laborers were all together and they were treated as a family. Now this view of industrial relation is a byproduct of a theory of capitalist society. Hello everybody, a warm welcome to one and all. I'm Abhilash Chandra from the Department of Commerce and Management in Vidhyashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence. Welcome to all the students for the second session of Industrial Relations. In the previous session, we got to know what exactly is the meaning of industrial relation, who are the people who are there with industrial relations. Then we went with the definitions and the objectives. Now here in this session, I'm going to teach you something which is a 15 marks question, that is more about the approaches of industrial relations. Now what are the approaches of industrial relations? First of all, when we go with the approaches, you need to know that there are n number of people who have gone with their own approaches, saying that these are the things which human resource management should adopt when they go with industrial relations. When they go with industrial relation, we broadly classify these approach in major three categories. The first one here we have is unitary, pluralistic and Marxist. Now unitary, pluralistic and the Marxist, what exactly they have? Even we have something called Gandhian approach also. Now here we'll understand what exactly these three topics are all about. Now when we go with the popular three approaches, we have unitary, pluralistic and Marxist. The word unitary. Now what exactly happens here is the employer, the employee, they treat themselves as a family. That is what unitary is all about. Now when we go with pluralistic, what happens is there is a broad classification between employer and employees. That is, the manager is there who will actually organize all the things, and there will be a kind of a dispute. Whenever there is a dispute, the manager will actually come and he'll separate all the things. From the laborers, it is the trade union who will actually come and they'll have the discussions with the management and then they'll solve for it. The last one is the Marxist. It is also called radical movement. Now here what happens, they focus more on capitalistic kind of a environment, and the Marxist is a person who actually goes with the pluralistic concept and he likes pluralistic concepts here. So let's go with the industrial relations, which we are going with the approaches of IR. So when we go with unitary perspective, what exactly happens in unitary perspective is, in unitary, the organization is possessive, has an integrated and harmonious system viewed as one happy family. That means here we have what? The employer, the employee and all the people who are working in the organization, they all feel that oneness, that is the family kind of a treatment is shown to them. The core assumption of unitary approach is that management, staff and all members of the organization share the same objective, interest and purpose, thus working together hand in hand towards the shared mutual goals. Now what happens here is, we know that who are the people who are involved in industrial relations. We know that it is employer, employee and the government. Now government intervention is less, so it is more of employer and employee. Now employer treat the employees as his own family, has our own family. Now the employees and the laborers, what they do is, when the employer is doing all the favorism to the employees and the laborers, now it is their chance, it is their opportunity to grab it and then get more creative things, bring innovation in the place and then go for productivity. See here, the word productivity, that is what the employer wants from the employees and the laborers, and what in return the employees and the laborers want is what? The good environment for the work, plus they go with incentives, they go with benefits, they also go with something more than that, that is salary and the standard of living. So when we go with this, the core assumption, unitary has an approach, if you go, all the employees, the laborers and the employer, they treat themselves as one family. So that is what the unitary approach always talks on. Next we have is from the employee point of view, what exactly the employees want from the employer. Now understand, as a family when you treat, there should be something called a kind of a gesture. Now here you need to understand, the employee's perspective is like this. They need a very friendly atmosphere. That is the first one. Second one is, so the login and the logout should be more of flexible rather than rigid. That is what their first perspective is all about. The second thing is fair remuneration to each and every employee for the amount of work they are doing. Thirdly, the thing is the flexibility in management, workers' participation in management, and the more they focus on is the innovative ideas, whichever they actually give it, the management should take as a suggestion. So that is what the working participation management and participation in the process will actually help them to get boost. Now here, working practices should be flexible. Individuals should be the business process improvement oriented, multi-skilled and ready to tackle with efficiency whatever tasks are required. That means they should get a proper training and development. See, these are the perspective of the employees, where the employees want a proper training and development for each and every individual who is working in unitary approach. Next one we have is, if a union is recognized, see, in the organization only, if a union is recognized, its role is that of a further means of communication between the groups of staff and the company. When I say the company, it is the top management. The emphasis is on good relationship and a sound term and condition of employment. There should be a very sound terms of conditions. What exactly it is? Each and every policy, the way the company runs should be told to each and every staff, and it should be transparent. And how it should be, it should always favor the members. The members is what the perspective of the employees are. Now in written, if everything the employees want in a very good way, what is that employer wants? Now employee participation in workplace decision is enabled. Now many of the companies, it is always disabled. That is, nobody will take the suggestions from the employees. It is only the top management who does each and every planning or take decisions of the situation. Now here, if the workers are given these kind of a friendly atmosphere to work, what happens is, you will never have any disputes, and a very good industrial relation we can actually expect in the organization. So next one is from employer point of view. Now what the employer feels. Now the first one is, staffing policy should try to unify efforts. So here, how exactly the policies, see the way I told you about the policies, here even the employer also wants a very good policy which can actually motivate the employees, and it can unify their efforts, inspire and motivate the employees. That is what the employer wants, to have a very sound staffing policy. The organization's wider objective, if you go, should be properly communicated and discussed with the staff. That means transparency should be maintained. Now here, transparency is something which the employee and the employer always want to have. That means there should not be any hidden agendas. Whatever the employer is going for a vision, that vision should be actually known to the employees, so that the employees will help the employer to achieve those objectives or those goals. And the employer always want to get a target which is feasible, which can be done. It should be realistic, is what the employer in the unitary approach goes with. Now reward system should be so designed as to foster to secure loyalty and commitment. So reward system, see here, unitary, it is all about what positive, that is win-win situation for the management as well as for the employees. Line managers should take ownership of their team as well as they should go with a proper staffing responsibility. Now, who are the line managers here? Please do understand. When we go with this line managers here, they are the one who should actually take the lead of their teams. We have this, say, A, B, C, and D. There should be one person who should actually take, say, M. He should take the lead of the team, and the team should always be owned by whom? By the line manager only. That means each and every team will have one manager or a team leader, and that team leader should take the entire responsibility of mobilizing these people in a profitable way, in a productive way. So this is what the approach from the employer's point of view. The next one we have is pluralistic perspective. Now, pluralistic, more than one, is what the pluralistic is all about. In pluralism, the organization is perceived as being made up of powerful and divergent subgroups. Now, in unitary, we had only one. Unitary means one. Employer, employee, laborer, everybody will come together. But pluralistic, they have divided that. That is two phases is that is we have as a subgroup. One is the management, another is the trade union. So in the pluralistic, we have what? Two different groups. Group A, Group B. Now Group A is all about what? The management. And Group B is all about the trade union. So I'll talk more about what exactly a trade union is, when the trade union was formed, everything in the next sessions. This approach sees conflicts of interest and disagreement between managers and workers over a distribution of profit as normal as well as it is inescapable. Now here, what used to happen in unitary, if you go with it, we had only one kind of a system where employer, employee and the laborers were all together and they were treated as a family. It is like the oneness was maintained with them. But when it comes to pluralistic, what happens is there is a huge difference between two groups. The first group is the management. Now, whatever the management feels, that will be done by the management. But next group is that is called the trade union. That means here what the employees and the laborers, they feel. Now here what happens when you have two people in the same place, you will always have disputes. You'll always have argument. You'll always go with conflicts. So this is what the pluralistic perspective. But here also I'll tell you, there will be more advantages if you practice pluralistic in different way where it is flexible. But sometimes many of the organizations, they go with a rigid pluralistic approach. Now here implications, what exactly the pluralistic happens here. The firm should have industrial relations. The first thing is, what is that they should have? They should have industrial relation and personnel specialists. Personnel means this staff who are specialists, the specialized staff who advise managers and provide specialist services. Now understand, management is one side. We have the management here one side. Here we have the trade unions other side. So from the management side, you need to have personnel staff. Personnel staff. So they are the one who can actually advise the managers. They are the one who will advise the manager for what? For getting a specialist productivity or the specialist services. Now, who advise managers and provide specialist services in respect of staffing and matters relating to union consultation and negotiation. So there will be a person who will act like a middleman, where he will actually convince the management as well as get the work done from the trade unions. That means the laborers and the employees. Now, independent external arbitrators should be used to assist in the resolution of disputes. So any disputes happen between the management, any disputes, whether it is say hike in a salary or hike in a wages, any disputes, if the trade union and the management has, there will be a person called arbitrator, and this person will be there who will actually minimize the disputes between the two parties. So this is what the arbitrator will do. Now, arbitration means what? That is, don't go to the court. Before the court only we will go for a compromise. That is what is called as arbitration. So there will be an arbitrator who will actually say that let's resolve this disputes, let's work together. So this is what the pluralistic approach happens. Now, union recognition should be encouraged, and union representatives give scope to carry out their representative duties. Now, trade union representatives will be there. They are the one who will actually take all things, and they'll actually go and talk to the management saying what all are the needs they actually have, the needs and wants. Forget about the word wants, because lot of the laborers, they don't even get the needs what they really want from the organization. That's the reason these kind of a pluralistic approach is done. Now next we will go with Marxist perspective. What is this Marxist perspective? Marxist perspective, actually they like pluralistic approach. Now this view of industrial relation is a byproduct of a theory of capitalist society and social changes. There is a change in society and it turns to be a capitalistic society. That means more production, more and more production. They only go with more productivity. They don't care about what the person is doing. They want the productivity to increase. Weakness and contradiction inherent in the capitalist system would result in revolution and the ascendance of socialism over capitalism. So here when you go with it, there are few weaknesses as well as there is contradiction which is inherent. But we need to know that how to minimize these things. We'll only go with the Marxist system of approach. Now, capitalism would foster monopoly. So this is what the thing is. They want to capture the entire market and make it a monopoly. That is what Marxists, they go with those approach. Now, wages would be minimized to subsistence level. The next one we have is the capitalist and the workers. When I say the capitalist, that is the management here, and workers would compete. Now, what exactly they'll compete is whether more production should happen, or here the laborers, whether they should get more wages or salary. Now here what happens, there will be a win and a loss situation. See, in the unitary we had win-win situation. In the pluralistic, because of the arbitrator, again we have a win-win situation. But here what happens in pluralistic is always this capitalistic will always have a win and the laborers will always go with the loss. Now here capitalists and the workers would compete and be in the contention to win grounds and establish their constant. Win-lose struggles would be the evident. So here sometimes in the pluralistic we have the employers, they'll win, or the laborers will actually win, or they go with the win-lose. But here in capitalistic what happens is the winner is the capitalistic, that means the employers. So these are the approaches here. So the next one is causes of poor industrial relation. What are the causes of poor industrial relation? Now the first cause you need to understand is the mental inertia. That means what the employer feels about the laborers and what the laborers feel about the employer. So it is like the mind attitude. Now here, how exactly those people will convince each other? If they cannot convince, then definitely there was a poor industrial relation. The second one we have is indiscipline. Indiscipline in the sense, now the workers' discipline is actually measured, whether they are disciplined or they are not disciplined. In the same way, the employer is also goes with the discipline or indiscipline. How exactly the employer goes is, say example, on the second or the third or the fourth, they are supposed to pay the salary, but they have not paid the salary until 15 or 16. Now what happens is, there is a problem with the laborers, there is a problem with the employer, there is a problem with the money. Now here what happens is, the laborers will not start liking the management. In the meanwhile, the management, what exactly they have that kind of indiscipline in the sense, now they feel that the laborers are not productive, they are not innovative, they are not creative, they are not hardworking. So that is the reason, again here, the mind inertia will actually play a very important role, plus the indisciplined attitude of the employer as well as the employee. Next one we have is a desire on the part of workers for higher bonus or DA. DA is what? Dearance allowance, and the corresponding desire of the employers to give as little as possible. Now here, if I work thinking that I'll definitely get a bonus if we go with a more productivity and profitability. After 3 months, we got to know the profit and the productivity was more. But as an employer, he has not given us the bonus what we are deserving. Now what happens? There is a poor industrial relation within the organization. Inappropriate introduction of automation without providing the right climate. Again, there is a disturbance in the system. Unduly heavy workloads. There are n number of factories or industries where the employees as well as the laborers are supposed to work more. Earlier, what used to happen is if you work for 8 hours, in this 8 hours, it is what? 1 hour is your break. 1 hour is your break. So totally a person will be working only for 7 hours. In this 7 hours, people were very happy and they were actually living properly. Now what has happened, because of capitalistic economy kind of a thing which is changing and the social changes there. Now there are many people, they go with 10 hours production. 10 hours production. Earlier what used to happen? 7 hours. If you do something more than this hour, we will consider that as OT. But now what has happened? The thing is 10 hours only they are actually going with a regular kind of a time. Next is dispute on sharing the gain of productivity. Now there is always a dispute between the laborers and the employees here, that when the profit is there, what exactly the employer should do is he should share with the workers, but he doesn't do that. Next we have is unfair labor practice like victimization and undue dismissal. Now without any kind of a reason, they go with undue dismissal. Retrenchment, dismissals and lockouts on the part of management and strikes on the part of workers. So here what happens is, as a management, what they do is they go with retrenchment, dismissal or lockout. Now what is the weapon for the laborers? Is the strikes. Inter-union rivalry, the disputes between inter-union rivalry. In the union only there will be a rivalry. And the last one we have is the general economic and political environment. Now what happens is there is a general rise in the price in the economy. Now not because of the internal but because of the external economy, we are actually having a dispute or there is a poor relationship. That is how it is. Say example, I'll give you this pandemic itself. If you take an example of this, the entire nation was in a lockdown. There are n number of employees and the laborers who are dependent on the salary and the wages. Now, not because of our own organization or the industries or the factories, it is because of the pandemic, many people, they have lost their job. Now, there will be a poor industrial relation. Many people, they did not even get the salary or wages. Again, it will lead to poor industrial relations. So this is what you are supposed to understand. That is here. The first one is rising price. Now, inflation is there, but your salary and the wages is the same thing. How will you go for it? Strikes by others, not by you, by others. And general indiscipline having their effect on the employee's attitude. Now here, the other disciplines, what they go with, because of that, many other people will also take the same kind of a thing and then they'll go with it. Say example, again in this pandemic only. Let's go with this. You need to understand. The way the other people, they went with 1/3 or half salary, all other institution, all other organization, all other industries also, they went with the same thing. Now, when government is not giving 100% salary, why should we give 100% salary to our employees? But the way they have taken the work is what? 200% they have taken the work, but when it comes to salary, they have only gave half of the salary of it. There are n number of organizations where they have not even give a 1 rupee for the employees or the laborers. Even that we have seen in this pandemic. So these are the causes of industrial relations. That is what the poor industrial relation will happen. Any doubt regarding this session, please do ask us. We are always there to help you. Thank you so much. I'll see you when I see you.